Motivation, like what brought you to that space?
Well, I would say again, I did see a need for programs that specifically worked with girls. So I'm gonna give you an example. I was doing art programs with young people, and that was amazing. You know, art can transform, you know, children, families, and a whole community into another place. But when you see girls that show up because they just want to be around the boys, there's something is missing. When you see girls come and they don't get along with each other, and they say, I hate girls, but they are girls, something is missing. So I realized that they needed something more than art, that they needed some self-discovery, some healing, some more attention specifically for them. And that was just me being in the community observing. So I did not wake up and say, oh, I want to do a girl program because Girl Scouts was doing it or Girls Inc. was doing it. I saw a need and I wanted to fill in a gap. But you do see today that, you know, a lot of people are motivated, like you said, to strengthen organizations too.
Right.
But 13 years ago, there was only Girl Scouts in our community,
right,
or maybe small churches. You know, large churches that were doing something for their youth ministry.
Right.
And today I'm really excited that there are more women especially who want to work specifically with girls.
Right.
And you do see men who are stepping up to say, wait a minute, we still have to deal with the boys too. And so there is, and they do, you know, I think the spaces, when you say what put me in that space, spaces are really important. You know, sometimes all the women got to get together and have our conversations. Sometimes all the girls have to get together, all the men have to get together, all the, you know, people of African descent have to get together. We have to be at our own table sometime,
right,
to come to a table collaboratively,
right,
so that we can make sure we're bringing each other voices to the whole table. So that's been really, you know, that's what kind of led me in this space. I just saw it, and it just was something that continued to pull on my heartstring.
Right.
I didn't want to be that woman that said, what is wrong with these girls today?
Right.
I wanted to be that woman that said, what can I do to solve the problem? And first, let's find out what the root cause is.
There we are.
Because it's many root causes to why our girls are challenged today.
Right.
And so I needed, and every day the program continued to evolve.
Right. Well, and speaking of evolutions, you've been doing this work for over 10-15 years, right?
Yes.
So that's, you know, a decade and a half. It's a long time to be engaged, you know, around community work. And as we know, and those, you know, who may not be aware, funding priorities change and evolve, you know, from year to year. So what might have been popular, you know, 10 years ago, 5 years ago, may not be what organizations are providing funds to do. So as a leader, how have you been able to sustain your programming, you know, for over a decade in the face of these changing priorities by donors and funders and philanthropic, you know, hubs?
Well, one thing I would say is that it's great that we're hearing you asking me that question, because diet, exercise, and sleep is really important to trying to change your world. I've met many people around the world say, oh my God, but I got to go to sleep, or they are a lot of like sluggish and they can't, because creating an impact needs energy. Right. So this is great we're in this space answering that question, because usually I'm in the spaces and the person is eating a donut and not understanding what I'm talking about. But I will say that. But we know that right now there's over 1.6 million nonprofit organizations globally. And every last one of them, even the largest that you know, like a YMCA, which is the Y Today, or Boys and Girls Club, struggles every day for that funding to come in to provide a product and or service.
Right.
And for me, it has definitely been a journey, because when I went into this whole nonprofit arena, I would be honest, I did not start out as a nonprofit. I started out with the idea, And then I knocked at the door, and I said, give me the girls, and they did. And unfortunately, I was working with the girls without insurance. I was working with the girls, you know, without any support around making sure they had criminal background checks. It was just my friends that I trusted.
Right.
And I don't advise you to do that, but what happened was that someone else saw that this was needed and groomed me into what it is to be a leader of a nonprofit organization. And so I didn't start out again from being groomed with getting my 501c3. I was actually in training under the East District Family Resource Center, and they were my fiscal agent. And that was, I think, one of the best experiences that I have had, not only about running a nonprofit, but running a business. Because they were like, Angela, the girls can't get in your car. You know, Angela, you got to have insurance. And so I did step back, and I had all these awesome ideas about what girls needed, but it would all crumble if I didn't have these logistics in order. Everything had to be in order. So once I got that together, it was like, but now I don't have any money. You know, because in order to have insurance and to transport them, you have to pay. I have over $500,000 insurance policy to serve girls globally, and it is not cheap. You know, so I have to not only raise money for the services and to pay staff, but just to operate day to day. And so what I learned in the beginning was that yes, I can go to funders all day, corporations, foundations, also to government officials, but you have to think of it as a business model, and I have to I guess have more creative ideas about sustainability. And the way that I do that is I started out with events. You know, events that I knew people would go to. And our first big fundraiser where I made my first $25,000 on my own was I said, who am I serving? Girls. Who loves girls more than anyone in the world besides their daddies? Women, right? And so, and what do women love? We love fashion. So we started out actually right here in this building with the Diva Bag auction. And it was an opportunity for me to reach out to women who love handbags and love girls, and made the connection to auction off handbags. But what the key was is that they didn't want just the Gucci bag. They wanted what was in the bag. And so I remember you, even Brother Manifest, gave us the, you know, like books. So it could be the cultural diva bag, the literary diva bag, the spa mom, you know. And so people love the connection about it's not what's on the outside of the diva, it's on what's inside. And so it made me not only raise funds, but also connect to people that were in the community that I would have never had the opportunity to meet behind closed doors. You know, so networking was really that big. Doctors and lawyers came to my fundraiser, and they became my new donors. You know, they became people that joined my committees. They told their friends. That's my favorite one. I call it friend raising. My brother here always hear me talk about that, because usually your friends do what you do. So if I call my friend and say, oh, I have this great new nonprofit I just found out about, they're doing amazing work, let me tell you about it. Your friends usually listen, okay? And then they say, well, tell me more, or I'll get involved because you are involved. We're raising money right now to send 20 girls to Brazil. And we were just at a church, and this woman said, I'm going to get my friends together, and we're going to raise money for one girl. That's fundraising. So that's what is was sustaining me at that time. Now I have a product. I actually have a curriculum that is full of value. It is full of value because it has been evaluated over and over again by foundations, for example, the Thrive Foundation, or universities, and they are continuing to let the community as a whole know that this model works. And so now I can sell my program. I have affiliates all over the country. I also have girls who want to be members. I even have an app now where girls download the app for $1. If I have, you know, over 30,000 girls download my app for $1, I'm sustaining my program.
Yeah.
You know, and I have had the privilege of also being connected to Tom's Shoes, which has this social responsibility type of initiative, but I'm making money.
Right.
So I did learn later that I can provide a social good,
right,
and still be able to feed myself,
right,
and to be able to pay staff, and to get all of the operational, you know, the operational, you know, needs taken care of in the program, like insurance.
Right, 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 right.
So that has been helpful for me.
So that's a very good segue into my question about sustainability. You know, this term has come up, you know, in the face of ecological efforts. You know, people talk about sustainable acts that can help improve, you know, the environment, things like that. But over the last 2-3 years, I've heard the word used in the context of financial sustainability, also community sustainability, and a lot of what you just said spoke to, you know, having some sort of a financial plan, which really is the meat of our discussion today. The whole idea of being a social entrepreneur, which I think is very interesting, because before I heard this word, I knew people that were doing just what has been, you know, put under that umbrella. Folks that have been finding innovative ways to fund their own social impact efforts without being, you know, reliant on, you know, the philanthropic community, etc. But and pulling from that word and kind of unpacking it for you, what has sustainability meant, not just in a financial sense, but what have been other elements of sustainability for your organization? For
how's it working for us?
Yeah, how's it working for you? What has the word sustainability meant for your work?
Well, for me, it does mean do for self. I am still striving to really go after any funding, and I would share why. It is good to still be in a place to be able to write a grant proposal to receive funding for your organization, but all the funding, like you just said, institutions want you to have a financial plan, and the goal is for them not to have to fund you anymore, because you have figured out a way to fund your own impact. That is the goal. It's kind of like, I'm going to give you this for 3 years. So I have about 5 foundations right now that are funding my organization for 3 years. One is 5 years.
Right, right.
But that means you can never come back to me.
Right, okay, yeah.
Never. So, however, your initiative still is in need,
right,
correct?
Right, right,
all right.
Right.
So I would tell you what most women that are running organizations specifically for girls are suffering with now is the STEM space. That's science, technology, engineering, and math. So because, like, social entrepreneurship is the new buzzword, however, we've been hearing about it forever. Right. They just give us a buzzword.
Right,
okay?
right,
It's nothing new.